All right, we're starting part 3 of The Woman in the Snow. And we did the first recap. I'm going to give you the second recap, starting from the end of, starting from all the information from the second video. This is after Grady had decided to take the bus back to the station, and as he was turning around, the headlights saw this woman coming, and he couldn't believe it because this was a year later and everything was just the same as it was the prior year when he saw this lady and her baby. He decided that he was not going to pick them up. Not going to let them go to the hospital. So he left. He found that she and her baby had died. And then all of a sudden, he sees her again 1 year later. Everything just the same as it had been the prior year. So now he's trying to figure out what is going on. And after that, he hears the voices of his father, who is long past, and he's thinking that, in his mind, he's like, oh, that's got to be the same woman. But in his mind, he hears his father's voice saying that's not the same person. And, like he's calling them dummies and lunkheads and things like that. So he sees the lady. He's like, I don't care what my dad says. I'm scared. So he takes the car. I'm sorry, not the car, the bus. He tries to get out of there really, really fast. He ends up slamming into a tree, and in the final darkness, he heard the babies wailing, the mom sobbing. So now we're going to start with part 3. 25 years later. 25 years later, Ray Hammond, a war hero with 2 years of college, became the first black driver Metro hired. Just a hint before that, this is after the Montgomery bus boycott and everything else. So this is the time span, remember, between what happened with Grady and when Ray Hammond became a driver. The Montgomery bus boycott happened. Okay. All right, I'm going to start over. 25 years later, Ray Hammond, a war hero with 2 years of college, became the first black driver Metro hired. A lot of things had happened during those 2.5 decades to pave the way for Ray's new job. The military had integrated its forces during the Korean War. In 1954, the Supreme Court had ruled that segregated schools were unequal, and one by one, unfair laws were being challenged by civil rights groups all over the South. Ray had watched the Montgomery bus boycott with interest, especially the boycott's leader, Dr. Martin Luther King. Let's see if you can see that question over there. I apologize, the lighting in my house is kind of terrible, so you can see my hand shadows and things like that. Ray soon found out that progress on the day-to-day level can be painfully slow. Ray was given the Hall Street Express. The white drivers called my route the Blackbird Express, Ray told his wife. I'm the first driver to be given that route as a permanent assignment. The others wouldn't take it. What more did you expect? His wife answered, tying his bow tie. Just do your best so it'll be easier for the ones who come behind you. In November, Ray worked the 3 to 11 shift. Snow's predicted, the route manager barked one afternoon. Close it down if it gets bad out there, Ray. The last shift on the Hall Street Express. Since he was a boy, Ray had heard the story of the haunting of that bus route. Every first snowfall, passengers and drivers testified that they'd seen the ghost of Eula Mae Daniels clutching her baby as she ran through the snow. Good luck with Eula Mae tonight, one of the drivers said, snickering. I didn't know white folks believed in haints, Ray shot back. But parked at the east side loop, staring at the swirling snow mixed with ice, Ray felt tingly as if he were dangerously close to an electrical charge. Let's see if you can see this. He just made up his mind to close down the route and head back to the garage when he saw her. Every hair on his head stood on end. He wished her away, but she kept coming. He tried to think, but his thoughts were jumbled and confused. He wanted to look away, but curiosity fixed his gaze on the advancing horror. Just as the old porch stories had described her, Eula May Daniels was a small-framed woman frozen forever in youth. "So young," Ray whispered. "Could be my Caroline in a few more years." He watched as the ghost came around to the doors. She was out there, waiting in the cold. Ray heard the baby crying. "There but for the grace of God goes one of mine," he said, compassion overruling his fear. "Nobody deserves to be left out in this weather, ghost or not. She deserves better." And he swung open the doors. Let you see. Okay. And I think you saw these. And then this one. And there's two more on this side. All right, that's the end of the third part. The fourth and last part is to come.